Okay, so shortly about who we, Digital Switzerland, are. So Digital Switzerland is a Swiss-wide cross-sector initiative that aims to strengthen and transform Switzerland into a leading digital nation. Our mission is really to coordinate and facilitate the process of digital transformation of Switzerland and to help Switzerland become a leading and fertile breeding ground for digital innovation. So we are member-based with over 170 members and partners that collaborate with us on different Swiss-wide initiatives in different areas, such as education, but also health, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and a few more. So in the beginning of this year, we launched the AI Alliance with around 30 of our members. And with this alliance, we foster a vibrant network of businesses, academia, and association to really drive innovation and bridge the understanding of AI for the public good. We are active in 3 topical areas. So one is AI literacy, the second one is AI ecosystem collaboration, and the third one is AI regulation. We don't have time to delve into these different topic areas, but if you're interested to hear more about it or know more about it, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And now we move forward to the introduction of our speakers today. Thank you for taking the time over the lunch break. Hope you're not too hungry. And we will listen to Simon Ruesch. He's the head legal and public affairs at swico. Then our second speaker is Axel Zenklusen. He's the digital ethics officer at Mobiliar. And last but not least, Tomoko Yokoi, researcher and advisor in digital transformation, IMD Business School. I'm very happy to have you 3 here with us, and I am happy to hand over to you, Simon. And as you know, I will be sharing the screen, so just let me know when to switch the slides.
Perfect. So first of all, thank you very much, Ceci, for the introduction and for organizing this webinar to this hot topic at SAY. Let me start by saying that, ethical thinking and acting has always been a field of interest to me, but in all my previous roles, my focus was strongly on legal on the one side and business on the other side questions. As a member of the executive management of swico, and also head of the legal and public affairs department, I'm very happy to have the unique opportunity to combine my strong interest in the ethics field with my experience in public affairs, since I'm also heading the swico Digital Ethics Circle. And it's my pleasure today to talk to you about that Digital Ethics Circle and also about AI ethics from the perspective of swico. So today we are quite a diverse group, Cecile told me, so therefore I will try to do my speech in a very balanced way, in the sense that I don't want to get too technical on one hand or too theoretical on the other. And I want to present to you how swico as an industry organization can integrate digital ethics in its operational business. And I also want to show you what swico's contribution in that field is. So let me give you a short outline on that short presentation. First of all, I want to speak about the question why should we actually care about digital ethics and AI ethics? I do hear some other persons. If you may mute yourself, that would be great. Thank you very much. So first of all, the question why. Second, the question how. How do we take care of this important topic, and what's our approach at swico? And important, of course, as well, the third question, what do we actually do to deliver, to provide services our members need, or even the broader public? So with that, we could move on to the next slide, and I would say we just jump into the question of why should we as swico actually care about digital ethics. So who is swico? you probably would answer that question or try to answer that question by yourself by talking to people, ask ChatGPT, or almost old school visit our website. And here you see a screenshot from our website, and you can read here, it's written in German, that swico represents the interest of the ICT and internet industry on the one hand, and on the other hand, we are also doing the recycling of electronic devices in Switzerland. So if you move on, Cecile, you see, we're actually quite a classic industry association. We have more than 700 members. We present more than 56,000 employees and over 40 billion turnover in Swiss francs per year. So quite a classical industry organization, one might think. So if you move on, I'm gonna drop the question, why shouldn't we actually care about digital ethics, or shouldn't we just care about regulation as industry regulation? And to the end, the answer to that is, as you may assume, definitely not, probably to the contrary. And I want to show you why I think so. So we can move on. Okay. Thank you. So our members do provide applications, technologies to the broader public that come with huge benefits. They have a very strong impact on individuals' life, but also on society and economy, and they evolve rapidly. So in our view, this comes with a responsibility and the need for reflection and guidance, not just focusing on regulation. So I want to show you how we take care of this topic and what our approach is. To do so, I would like to differentiate both terms or concepts of regulation and digital ethics. Of course, they somehow separate, but there's also an interplay. Let me start with regulation from, I would say, put simply, it may be defined. So regulation usually reflects a set of rules, often in the shape of laws. These rules are relatively clear and rigid, and for that, we do have a quite established circle as an industry organization. It's our regulatory affairs circle. The circle meets like 4 times a year, always before the parliamentary session, the sessions of the National Parliament in Switzerland. So we try to monitor regulation. We try, of course, to influence regulation by articulating the needs and arguments of our members vis-a-vis the public and politics. So this is the regulation part, I would say. And on the other hand, if we move on, you can see there's, of course, also the part of ethics. Ethics usually deals with guidelines and principles regarding how to behave as an individual and or as an organization in a certain context. These guidelines are more or less flexible, but also a little bit ambiguous, I would say. So in order to exchange on questions on behavior and to work out useful orientation and guidance, we know this digital ethics circle. The digital ethics circle consists of representatives of our members focusing on ethical question. Now, Cecile asked me when we had our short briefing call also to point out the challenges we have in our ethical work and how we overcome them. So I think one challenge already lies here. It's a key challenge to actually anchor that holistic approach I just laid out. And it's also a challenge to make sure that these two bodies, the regulatory and the digital ethics body, are actually interlinked, aligned, and are not dealing with the same questions or topics and do the same tasks. So the alignment is important, but also to make use of both bodies, I would say, fields and their interplay. And our solution to that, if we move on, Cecile, is that we personally link these two bodies and topics so that a member of the management in that sense, it would be me, is leading both circles, and with that we can ensure the necessary alignment topic-wise, but also in terms of people. And this link and alignment is even more important, exactly, you're already showing it, if it comes to hot topics with lots of uncertainties, where everybody tries to capture it in ethics, in politics, and business, and comes up with ideas. And in our current times, I guess this hot topic would be artificial intelligence. So by saying that, allow me now to combine all our insights and link them together with the topic of AI in order to answer the question, what our concrete services and products in the context of ethical AI actually are. So, well, first of all, if you go to the next slide, let me tell you again, we're convinced that it's not just about rules. There must be rules, but it's not just about rules, especially not if you're talking about AI. A lot of it is also about giving guidance. I will show you that later on. But why? AI, from our perspective, is a key-based technology, accelerating an industrial revolution towards an AI economy. Switzerland is very well positioned, and we need to make sure or have to make use of this unique opportunity. At the same time, the challenges, of course, need to be addressed. And as I already implied, many of them are already addressed by existing laws. For example, this information doesn't get better if it's done by AI or not. But of course, it's an issue. So we need regulation, yes, but not just regulation. It's also about literacy, orientation, and guidance. If you move on, Cecile. So therefore, we at swico, as an industry association, want to provide our members as well as the broader public with concrete and at the same time adaptable guidelines and orientation. And let me give you two examples of that. If you go to the next slide, I will present you a paper on ethical handling or dealing with 7 key pitfalls regarding the application of AI. It's available in German on our website. I put in the link so you can actually look that up, or we share that after the webinar. In this document, we provide solutions for 7 pitfalls based on clear use cases. For example, one of them is about ensuring truthfulness of your content. If you're, for example, using ChatGPT or other, I would say, likewise engines. And I think they're quite simple answers to that. It's just about digital literacy, as I said. We show people that these tools are not made, or they're not made as a search engine and should not be used as that. Or if you're talking about avoiding stereotypes, for example, if you want to have produce the content, for example, a picture by AI, you just have to make sure you're specific enough with your guidance, so the AI doesn't come up. With potentially discriminational content. So here I come back to your question, Ceci, regarding challenges. To me, a big challenge is to reach people and actually make sure they understand what we are talking about when we talk about ethical application of AI. And I think the solution here is that we try to do our job here as practical as possible. We deliberately stick to real-world problems and come up with practical solution as far as possible. So if we move on to the second example, which is actually a teaser of our work in progress, there we are going to create guidelines for employees of our companies, member companies, on how to work with AI in the context of their businesses. And here as well, I think key is to come up with cases, with clear use cases, and provide them with realistic solutions and guidance regarding these use cases. So if you move on, I would like just to quickly wrap up and come up with the answer to the initial question, what the actual contribution of swico in the field of digital ethics or let's say, ethical AI is along the questions why, how, and what. So why do we engage with digital ethics, for example, in AI? It's because for us, it's not just about rules, and we also need to have a holistic understanding, reflection, and provide orientation and guidance to our members and beyond. How do we engage in digital ethics? For example, regarding AI, we provide orientation and guidance based on the joint expertise and the experience of our members. For this, we have institutionalized bodies. And third, what do we deliver to provide this orientation and guidance? I think we share concrete examples based on use cases and expertise and are actively engaging with our community so we actually reach them. So with that, Cecile, we will come to the last slide and to the end. I hope you just gained some insights on how a trade organization such as swico is organized and can add value in a very practical way in the field of digital ethics. And by that, I would like to hand over to you, Cecile.
Thank you so much, Simon, for this short overview of the Digital Ethics Circle and your work and the holistic reflection that you are promoting. There will be the chance to ask more questions about what you just presented to us at a later stage. I will now hand over to Tomoko, as we will be listening to the 3 speeches first and then have the discussions. Tomoko, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry, I actually messed up the. Actually, Axel, the floor is yours. Tomoko, you will be the 3rd speaker. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was already introduced. My name is Axel Zenklusen. I come from the Mobiliar. A warning directly at the start: there will be some pictures with text in German, because at the Mobiliar everything exists in German, French, Italian, and maybe Rätoroman, but not everything exists in English. So I took the picture from the German webpage. Next slide, please. Yeah, what is the Mobiliar? We are, I think nearly everybody knows, just in case someone doesn't know. We are an insurance company based in Switzerland. We are well known for our damage sketches, one you see on the left side of the page. And our main parts are clearly prevention and protection. Our goal is to have the customer and society at the center, and extend our service offerings as an insurance. Like Simon, I will go through the 3 steps. I skipped the part where I define what we mean with the name ethics, because Simon already did it, and it's having more than just laws that are in action. I will start with how is the ethics based in the Mobiliar? What do we do about ethics in data and AI? And at the end, what was the challenges that you faced? Yeah, next slide, please. What you see on the right side here is the light build of the Mobiliar. It's our main values. Like I said, they don't exist in English, but it's quite easy. The main goal of the Mobiliar is we want to have a long-term growth that is profitable and is above the market. So we want to be one of the good or the best insurer in Switzerland. Our main skills and capabilities is we are decentralized, we are uncomplicated, we are powerful, and we're curious. Then we switch to our values. We are a humane insurer. We are responsible and determined. And clearly, the values are, like I also said, we take the initiative and we look what's coming on us, and we are reliable as an insurer. Next slide, please. the insurance business always was a data business. Because of that, it's all my titles are AI and data ethics. We don't separate the two in our business. AI and thought data ethics are becoming increasingly important. There is a big public debate. There's changing laws. It's AI Act from the Europe that is coming, and the customers are way more aware what we do with data and AI. We have a great part in digitalization and bringing our processes to a new level with all the data we have and the AI we can use for it. And clearly there are some internal drivers to have a data and AI ethics. Like I said at the second slide, we try to be the most personal insurer in Switzerland. And so we also want to be personal in the digital space, so in data, in AI. And so this is a key asset for the Mobiliar. On this slide, there is, since 2019, we already have a data and AI ethic principles in place. The principle where it was 2020, where the principle was approved by the management and are used on a daily basis. It's if someone works with data or someone works with AI, they know these principles. They have trained on these principles, and they use this on a daily basis. Next slide, please. Then I come directly to the process and how we do it. The little book you've seen at the previous slide was the data and AI ethics from the Mobiliar. It's four or five pages. It's visible to everyone who works in the Mobiliar and everyone who works with data. So all the data scientists, most of the data engineers, and everyone that actively develops AIs is trained on this and has a yearly and an annual refresh on this topic. It's normally combined with the regulations. So we have one big meeting first, the regulations, what has changed in the last year, and also the the AI and data ethics of the Mobiliar, if there were some changes. What is the modus operandi that we use? We have a small team. I am one of those who is available during the development and the usage of data and AI. So if any developer has any questions about AI or there are any concerns and thinks there's something that we don't do right or we shouldn't do with the data, he can come to us as a board and we will give some advice, help, ask questions. If there really is a problem that we have to escalate, the next I'm part of a data board. In the data board, there's half of our management already present, and if it's needed to escalate further, I can escalate directly to the management level, because there are decisions how the Mobiliar works with data and how the Mobiliar is viewed if you work with data and especially AI from the exterior. And so there is a great sensibility on this topic. We don't have hard quality gates that we ensure that has to be passed with a checklist. But in the process that you see on the right upper side of this slide, every task epic, in our case, every epic that comes from funnel to analysis has to go through a checkpoint where there are 4 or 5 high-level questions. One of those is, are automated discretionary decisions made with implications for individuals, customers, or employees? And if one of the questions is answered with yes, there is directly a link to get to us, the ethics board, and get some advice if it's okay what we are doing. Yeah, we can already go to the last slide. there were some challenges. First of all, the 4 pages where I just showed the title page, we have invested quite some time to find the right wording that fits and suits everyone. There were the target were to have as precise rules as possible without impeding all the progress. It was, like I said, it was 2019 that we started with the ethics. There were anybody was talking about ChatGPT then, but it's still the rules has to be as strict as possible and as clear as possible without blocking some of the new developments that are coming. Where should the ethics be anchored? This was the biggest question. It wasn't sure if it should be management, the CISO, the compliance officer, or data and analytics. That is the part of the Mobiliar where I work. And the next big question, quite close linked with the one where should it be anchored, is should it become a directive or should it become part of the code of conduct? Small spoiler, it isn't part of the conduct, the data and AI ethics, but we have some ethical advices in the code of conduct that are more broad than just AI or data ethics. And yeah, last but not least, keeping pace with the AI developments. Like I already said, especially in the last year and a half. Yeah, that was the small history of the journey of ethics at the Mobiliar.
Thank you so much, Axel, for also your input and showing us how you do it at the insurance and how data and AI have to be thought together. I have a few questions, but again, we will have time for the discussion later on. So here I hand over to you, Tomoko, this time for real. And I will also go to your slide.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for Simon and Axel for telling us about how they do AI responsibly within their organization. For my little presentation today, I'll actually take a broader overview and share with you some best practices of companies, organizations across Europe and the United States who have been working on AI implementation, and try to sort of glean some best practices from what our research on AI implementation has shown us. So next, Cecile. So I think we're all on this call today. And we all, I think many organizations today know the importance of AI ethics and responsible digital ethics. And the first starting point for many organizations is to develop a charter or a list of AI principles. And what we all know is that there are many AI principles to date. Many organizations have been establishing them. Over 250 AI ethics principles and charters are published to date, but recent research has shown that actually the implementation of these principles is rather lacking. So with that, next, we've been looking into very much, for the past 6 months, actually looking into how organizations actually implement these principles into practice. So for the past, I would say close to 6 months, I've been interviewing some organizations based in Europe and the US in many different industries, such as manufacturing, insurance. Mobiliar was one of the participants, education, transportation, and telecommunications. And they were many of these organizations that I spoke to were at different stages of the AI implementation process. Some had established rather comprehensive AI programs and others were just beginning. Now, I think one of the barriers to actually implementing some of these principles is that we actually think it's only for the technical people, those really into the data analytics. But while, of course, data engineers and data scientists typically take on most of the responsibility from conception to production of these AI life cycles, I really think that non-technical employees can play a role in AI ethics implementation. And I also think managers and leaders also can play a role to ensure the integration of responsible AI. And so through a series of these interviews that we've been doing over the past 6 months, like in any business school, we like to abstract some key things. And so we sort of identified 4 moves that we believe that even non-technical leaders can implement. And I just highlight them there right now. I think the first one everybody starts off with is translating some of these AI ethics principles into something that it's a little bit more practical and can be implemented within your organization. The second one is then how do you integrate some of these principles into the development lifecycle? The third one is to calibrate it because some of these AI solutions, they do change over time and you have to adapt it to the local conditions. And then the fourth one is then how can you scale it? So in order to make this a little bit more concrete, I'd like to share with you the experience of Deutsche Telekom. Next, Cecile. Out of many of the organizations that we spoke to, Deutsche Telekom has been a pioneer in really taking AI ethics implementation to heart. They started back in 2018. They actually started I think I would say they also say that they were one of the first non-technical companies to adopt 9 principles of AI ethics. Deutsche Telekom uses AI in many different parts of their operation. They use AI applications to manage their telecommunications networks. They also use AI to support their customer interactions with chatbots and improving their customer service. And they also use AI to enhance their business functions, such as in finance, cybersecurity, and in human resources. So what happened in 2018 was they did become one of the first enterprises to adopt their own 9 self-binding AI principles. And these principles have committed the organization to use AI in ways that are responsible, supportive, transparent, secure, reliable, helpful, and trustworthy. So I don't think there were 9, but I think I've actually told you all of the 9 principles in a very summarized fashion. But then let's take a look at how Deutsche Telekom have gone ahead and implemented AI using some of these 4 strategic moves. So Cecile, maybe if we can go to the next one. So in regards to translate, although in 2018 they had put together these principles, these 9 principles, they realized that they needed something to be a little bit more practical and to actually translate these principles into a more operational term. So that was back in 2018. 4 years later, in 2021, they went ahead and they introduced what they call this AI engineering and usage guideline. And this is what you see on the right-hand side of the screen. This is a guideline that's actually more targeted towards their AI engineers. And it offers best practices and methods and tips for integrating these 9 principles into the AI development process. And what I do like about this, and you can download this from their website, is that they actually take each principle and they outline a specific to-dos that engineers can do before, during, and after the launch of an AI development project. And they also highlight some key considerations that these engineers can take into account. So that's one aspect of how they went ahead and translated it. Next, Cecile. And I think in one aspect, Axel had mentioned it, that Mobiliar had the discussion about where you anchor the AI ethics teams. And with some of the organizations that we spoke to, many of them actually decided to keep the teams tasked with translating the AI ethics principles into practices within their IT or their data analytics team. And the way they decided to do that was they decided to make sure that they were in close integration so that this translation practice was actually embedded within the operations. And I think the second thing that a lot of the organizations said that they did in this translation phase was that they really tried to facilitate that open dialogue because there is that complexity in the AI ethical deployment, and they wanted to make sure that it was embedded within the operations, and that the operations and the ethics people and the compliance people were talking to each other in an open forum. Let's take a look at what Deutsche Telekom did in terms of the integration. So integration is after a step that after you translate these principles into practice, it's about integrating these ethical considerations as a routine part of the AI solution development. And what we actually found, especially in a lot of European-based companies, is due to the GDPR regulations that came back, a couple of years ago, many of organizations had already established a rather strong data governance process, leveraging their existing privacy processes they developed through GDPR. And what they did was then, rather than start from scratch regarding their digital ethics, a lot of the organizations, Deutsche Telekom included, basically latched on their digital ethics and AI ethics assessment onto their privacy and security assessments that were already in place. So what it means is that a lot of the organizations, especially if you're just starting, you don't need to start from scratch, but take some of those, the privacy assessments that are already in place, and then add some of these more add-ons in place. And I think that was one way that a lot of organizations were able to put that integrated very quickly. Cecile, if you can go ahead. And then, as we all know, there's a plethora of AI tools, how you can integrate ethical principles into AI tools, into the design development process. Actually, I think there's about 106 tools already in place. And so a lot of the dilemmas that we found some managers were faced with was which tool do they use in order to integrate these AI ethics properly. And for any tool that you use off the shelf, it is important to adapt them for operational relevance. And also, I think one of the other things that people can do, organizations do, is to provide ongoing support. So Deutsche Telekom, what they did was they opened a mailbox where you can go ahead and email any questions you might have. And at the same time, the central team also went ahead every year and randomly selected 10% of all of the AI projects that were going on in the organization, and they reviewed them for compliance with some ethical guidelines. So that is one way that you can still ensure that there's some type of ongoing compliance going on. I'll just go quickly into this. The next one, calibrate, is when you go ahead and you make sure that the AI solution continues to meet the original objectives and requirements. And a lot of the organizations that did this, and one of the reasons why we know that this calibration is important is because over time, there could be a divergence between the scenarios for which the AI solution was initially created and then the evolving real-world solution. So in that respect, similar to what Mobiliar and also I think swico has done, is what Deutsche Telekom did was they did form an interdisciplinary group, expert group, to continually assess the impact of the AI solution. And for any new solutions, for example, we have Gen AI coming with ChatGPT. This expert group was also instrumental in making sure that there were new governance measures adapted for Gen AI as well. Cecile, could we move on to 2 slides? Let's go on to the next one. And I think the 4th stage that we saw is proliferate, which is when you've got some of those building blocks in place. Then the question really is how you can develop that environment of learning and sharing across the entire organization. A lot of the organizations spoke to believe that ethical AI implementation was an organization-wide initiative. But in order for that to happen, just as Simon had mentioned, this learning literacy is also very important. And in that respect, Deutsche Telekom is no stranger to that. They went ahead and made sure that they had these in multimodal formats, both digitally, but also through physical online forums. They made sure that they had these ethical trainings, and they continue to provide consulting on ethical AI topics. So then next, and I will go the second one next again, Cecile. So in summary, here's just a quick summary that these are some of the key moves that a lot of the organizations we spoke to had commonly used in their AI ethics implementation. And my last point would be that this is not only an initiative just for those who are in the data ethics or analytics space, but it could also be things that even non-technical managers can do. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much.